Rossoneri fans, welcome back to this new edition of our AC Milan Talk. Today we're going to be discussing everything about AC Milan, starting from the Champions League clash against Napoli, going into the Serie A, and also from some off-the-pitch activities. I'm not alone today. Sheridan Bird, welcome back.
Hi, Juicy. Good to see you. So much wonderful stuff to talk about today.
Adriano Del Monte.
Juicy, wonderful to be back.
How are you doing?
I'm doing very well. I was at the Milan-Napoli clash during the week. What a match. Can't wait to talk about it.
Nice. We'll be talking about it in a second. We are ready, so let's begin. We can only start from the main event of the week, maybe of the season, the great game against Napoli, in which we won 1-0 in San Siro. Sheridan, let's start commenting about it.
Old school, classic European performance. It shows that Milan belong in the Champions League and just showed their champions' DNA, just showed quality, a really good performance against a really tough opponent, an opponent that can damage you, that have got weapons, and Milan just rolled back the years. We'll speak about it shortly, but I was talking to Adriano before we were filming that there were memories of the 2000s, the kind of Ancelotti era, when Milan always found the answer, always found the solution in European matches against top caliber opponents.
It was a common talking point amongst the fans that were very lucky to be there. I've said it before, but the atmosphere at San Siro on a Champions League night, truly something else. And it was a magical night, and it did have that feel of Milan, the history, the story, what this club is all about. San Siro looking spectacular. It was raining. It was difficult conditions early on.
You saw some nice choreographies
Beautiful,
there,
Juicy.
right?
Really, really special. And that sets the tone. You did feel, because there was that magical feeling in the air, the tone was set, the players took it up a notch. And, well, obviously they came to play and deservedly go home with the important result. Still plenty of work to do, of course, with the return next week. But look at these scenes. So beautiful.
For those who don't realise, that white character in the white outfit is Pulcinella, who is a sort of spiritual figure in the city of Naples, and in that particular piece of stadium art, the devil, the Diavolo, one of the logos of Milan, was just sort of scaring him a little bit, and it certainly happened on the pitch as well. The Diavolo got the better of Pulcinella and Napoli.
Also, we have to say that AC Milan won the game, showing different sides of the team. They suffered at first in the very first minutes, but they managed to bring home the result, actually dominating in the first half. After the first 10 minutes, they were a little shaky, but nothing to say about it. Great defense, great forward zone. What actually can we say was the best part of the team? Well,
I think the goal obviously will get plaudits, and Brahim Diaz got the man of the match award for his part in the goal. Look at this. I mean, the way he danced through the midfield, the Napoli midfield, reminded me of Kaká, Adriano, the way he span through. Good pass back from Rafael, and it fell first time on the left foot. Benacer went near post, and I think that might have caught Meret out, because often attackers go to the far post. But yeah, he went near post, and it was too hot to handle.
The celebration for me was the best part of that goal.
Crossbar here.
Crossbar, there were chances. There were chances at both ends. Look, the match was intense. There was a lot of... I felt a lot of nervous energy about both teams. Obviously, the stakes are very high. They did meet 10 days ago, we know, in Serie A. And I was really impressed. What impressed me most, Juicy, in answer to your question, obviously, Anguissa there with the red card, he'll miss the next leg. But it was Milan's response to Napoli's very fast starts, because there's no doubt that Spalletti instructed Napoli to come out firing. They wanted to put that 4-0 defeat behind them. And to their credit, they did exactly that, but Milan held firm, and that defence, again, the four-man defence, 3 clean sheets now in a row. That's very important when you're meeting opponents of this calibre in the latter stages of a Champions League. So for me, defensively, very impressive. In the end, 1-0. There could have been another goal or two, but that's both ends, and I think Mr. Pioli will be very pleased with the 1-0 to take to the Maradona next week.
Also, we just took a look at some images of the night, and also Mike Maignan was in there. It was just part of what it did. against Napoli, but let's comment on his performance.
Magic Mike, they call him Magic Mike for a reason. Those were saves that they won the match, naturally.
They're as good as a goal, Sheridan.
They are.
That's right.
They, you know, the second leg still must be played, but could they be crucial in Milan winning the tie? That's what obviously we hope. They were really, really world-class saves. I mean, the flexibility and the reflexes you need to make a save like that, it blows my mind.
His return has been very important. Again, going up a level, the back end of the season, playing teams of this calibre, as I said. Maignan presence, his coolness and calmness has just been so important to the Milan defence, and great to see him put in another fantastic display. But he'll have to do it again, because it's going to be a great test at the Maradona.
Also, let's analyze the sacrifice of the teammates. I mean, Calabria, Kier, Tonali.
Calabria for me, the one, because what he's done against Kvaratskhelia now in both fixtures, remarkable performance, and he deserves the plaudits. He deserves a lot of credit. I've covered a lot of Napoli this season in Serie A and Champions League, and Kvaratskhelia has troubled the very best in world football. So Calabria, with the captain's armband there, certainly played his part, and I think he's as good as anyone.
Plus, they doubled up on Kvaratskhelia. It wasn't just Calabria. Tomori came out of his central station to help out on the wing.
Kier was fantastic.
The wise old fox, you know, he's not got the speed that he had when he was a younger man, but he's got it up here, and it's brilliant.
Look, all of them were fantastic, but defensively they were compact and they were playing with a spirit and energy that really, I think it set the tone. Defensively set the tone for what was to come. The goal came just on the stroke of half-time, and in the end, for me, as I said, Sheridan, a deserved result.
There is still someone we need to be discussing, but we're going to do that later after listening to the words of our coach Stefano Pioli after the game.
Abbiamo fatto una partita seria, una partita giusta, con attenzione, con qualità, con energia. È solo il primo tempo, nessuno di noi pensa di aver già superato il turno, assolutamente. Ci aspetta un'altra partita talmente complicata, talmente difficile e equilibrata come sono sempre le partite tra noi e Napoli. È un'emozione incredibile e soprattutto fino all'inizio della partita ce lo siamo gustato, ce lo siamo goduto questo ambiente. Dopo è chiaro che la partita ti porta via e anzi sono partite toste che stancano, che vivi con tanta intensità, perché sai quanto è importante per tutti noi, quindi però l'ambiente è fantastico.
These were the words of our coach Stefano Pioli, saying and underlining how hard it will be actually to stand up to the first performance again in the second leg against Napoli at the Stadium Diego Armando Maradona already next Tuesday. Sheridan.
Well, I just think that everything he said was true, and I think he won't give himself credit because he's not an arrogant man, but he tactically got the match perfect. We've already spoken about how Milan doubled up on Kvaratskhelia. Difficult name, difficult player to play against, but he got his tactics spot on, Pioli, which he did when the teams met at the Maradona in the league just over, well, a few days ago, let's say. So it's 2 matches in a row that he's managed to nullify, to stop Napoli scoring. And that, you know, he deserves a lot of credit for that, but he's a very modest man, so he won't be shouting to everyone how he's kept the Napoli attack quiet. But he tactically spot on, a really good European performance.
Played his role, no doubt about it, and he spoke about ensuring that they maintain their calm going forward. Obviously, it was an emotional night at San Siro this week, but there are 90 minutes still to play. And this is where really I feel Pioli's strengths will shine. This is what he's very, very good at, managing his squad, managing his personnel, bringing the best out of them and keeping them cool and calm under pressure. I've covered a lot of matches at Maradona this season. As I said, the atmosphere there, as Milan saw not long ago in Serie A, it's something else. Champions League nights there, something else. But Pioli with that coolness and that calmness, I think we'll see another very strong Milan in a few days' time.
We have to point out that Anguissa and Kim won't be there, but Osimhen will be playing too. How can things change?
Well,
They say so.
Yeah, we don't.
They say so.
Honestly, only the man himself, Victor Osimhen, and the Napoli medical staff know. So we don't know. And if he does play, will he be 100%? Now, you want to play teams and beat teams when they're at 100%, and I don't think anyone wishes injuries on other teams, on opponents. but it will certainly be helpful for Milan if Osimhen can't make it. Losing Kim, who's been a tower in the Napoli defence this season, is a blow for Napoli, and again for Milan. Likewise, the red card for Anguissa. So those have worked in Milan's favour. So it's the second leg in Naples might not be as worrying as it could be.
It's a story of football, though. It's where it happens. Milan went through it a couple of months ago with injuries and suspensions and some players out, and it will be up to Spalletti to do it. I do feel, though, after 2 defeats for Napoli in these last 2 meetings this month, the pressure is fully on Napoli. Pioli just has to worry about his men, his team, and bring out the best in them. And look, Milan's record in the UEFA Champions League against Italian opponents is 6 matches, only conceded in 1 match and never been beaten. So if they can continue that, Milan will be going through, but it's going to be a fascinating fixture, no doubt.
Let's close the circle by also commenting on the performance of Rafa Leao that actually split the game in 2 by starting with the acceleration right in the first half, actually, and also the one from Theo Hernandez, who also got the red card to Anguissa.
Well, Leao is building, is growing, he's getting back to his very best. I wasn't with you guys last week after the Serie A fixture, but we saw Leao in Serie A against Napoli at his absolute best. And I think last night all he lacked was just the finishing, getting into the right spaces, and this was remarkable. This performance here was as good as we've seen from Leao. We love when he's smiling and having fun because this is how he plays his best football. And when he does that, it sparks his teammates, it sparks the team. And we saw that last night. You may not have seen if you weren't at the match, but there were many times where Leao was even just going up to the crowd, to the fans, and getting them involved in the game. So he's got that presence about him. And when
also, they don't catch him.
Well, no one can catch him. When he plays with this flair and this speed and just at his best, free-flowing Leao, he's as hard to stop as any player in world football. And what I also loved last night, Juicy, was if you watch the celebration when Bennacer scores, Leao enjoying it as if he had scored as well. He's a team player, fantastic player, and him at his best, as I said, Milan always hard to stop.
Jordan.
Yeah, it's like Adriano says, he plays with a smile on his face. There are shades of Ronaldinho when he played at Barcelona and also when he played here with Milan. He's a sunshine player. He's someone who loves to give the fans a show. He's someone who loves to show his skill. As you said, Juicy, he's uncatchable. You know, he's so quick and direct, and he's a big guy as well. He's hard to shake off the ball. So if he's happy, playing with a smile on his face, it's good news for Milan and bad news for the others.
We now have a surprise for the Rossoneri fans, along with Ismail Bennacer, who was the match winner, but not only him, also Brahim Diaz, who was voted by UEFA as best player of the game.
Andiamo un passo alla volta, contento per la squadra, voi siete incredibile oggi, una serata magica e ci vediamo presto ancora, piano piano, forza Milan.
Dai, manca ancora una partita.
È venuto giù lo stadio,
Bravo. No, veramente sono molto contento per la squadra, per me. Veramente un momento speciale, ma sarà ancora più speciale dopo la seconda partita, perché manca ancora 95 minuti. Dai, ci rivediamo prossima settimana.
Now we're going to be listening to the words of Fikayo Tomori and Sandro Tonali after the game.
Ma è stato bello, è stato emozionante. Giocare un quarto di finale a San Siro, un Milan-Napoli che credo rimarrà per tanti anni nella storia dell'Europa e della storia delle squadre italiane in Europa. Quindi i tifosi ci hanno dato tantissimo, ci hanno spinto a prendere questi tre punti, a prendere questa vittoria, però ci hanno aiutato tanto e lo fanno sempre, l'hanno fatto sempre negli ultimi 2 anni dopo il Covid. Veramente ci danno sempre una mano nei momenti di difficoltà, nei momenti in cui una squadra ci attacca, in cui stiamo subendo, però veramente siamo usciti in questi momenti di difesa, diciamo, anche grazie a loro. Sì, ora bisogna avere la capacità di staccare, di riprendere il campionato, perché a Bologna sarà una partita fondamentale.
ci stiamo giocando tanto in queste partite, quindi sicuramente sarà una partita importantissima per noi, come lo sarà per loro, e vorranno affrontarci veramente con tutte le forze possibili, quindi saranno più freschi, però noi dobbiamo giocare come stasera, bisogna giocare da Milan per cercare di prendere questa vittoria.
Sappiamo bene che il lavoro non è finito, quindi dobbiamo essere pronti per la prossima partita, ma siamo focalizzati solo sulla prossima partita a Bologna sabato, e poi pensiamo a martedì.
These were the words of Fikayo Tomori and Sandro Tonali after the match. They also mentioned the next game that is going to be awaiting us, the one against Bologna on Saturday. Let's comment on that, Adriano.
Well, Giussi, this is when a squad and squad depth really is put to the test. It's the business end of the season, 3 games in the best part of 7 days, and a Bologna team that are in some decent form. So this is going to be a nice, tough test for the depth of Mr. Pioli. You would imagine, Sheridan, that there may be a couple of changes, obviously, with one eye on the return leg in the Champions League. But a Bologna team that, as I mentioned, have really been improving of late, and some good results against some other top teams in the competition.
Yes, Bologna are eyeing up Europe. They've got their eye on the Europa League or the Europa Conference League under their Brazilian manager, Thiago Motta, who played in Serie A for many years. They're looking really solid, and he's revolutionised them. They play a very energetic, compact football. The good news for Milan is that their star players are unavailable. Marco Arnautovic and Riccardo Orsolini will not be playing at the weekend, but they've still got some quality, particularly in midfield, the Dutchman Schouten and his colleague Moro. And then further ahead, they've got the one of the revelations of the season from Scotland, Lewis Ferguson. So midfield will be a very hotly contested area. And if Mr. Pioli does rotate and maybe change the team around, the midfield will be a key area.
We have to remember as well, the top 4 race is well and truly on, so it's still an important fixture. It's not, let's rest players with an eye on Napoli.
Right.
3 points here, very, very important. But yeah, as I said, a Bologna team that have been pushing some of the competition's best. So it should be a great match and a good preparation ahead of the second leg.
Really important 3 points, also considering the fact that we come from the 0-0 against Empoli. And also we have to realize that Bologna is not to be underestimated. They are in a moment of excitement, and also they come from 2 consecutive wins. They are actually not to be played around with.
No, they beat Atalanta in their most recent match, and those who follow Italian football carefully, regularly, will know that Atalanta are one of the best sides in Serie A, or in the top 5 sides in Serie A in the last 4 or 5 years. So to get that result against Atalanta shows that they have real quality as well as solidity. So, you know, the luxury of rotating the squad isn't something due to the position in the table that Pioli's got. But, you know, that's why these top managers are well paid, because it's up to him to make the right decision, to put out a team that can get a result, but maybe rest 1 or 2 of the players. Maybe Simon Kjaer, who is slightly advanced in age, will sit this one out. I'm not telling Mr. Pioli how to do his job. I'd never do that. But this could be a good match to bring in Malik Chow. It'll be interesting to see. There's Marco Arnautovic, who won't be available, thankfully, for Milan's defence, but it will be very interesting to see what changes that Mr. Pioli makes with not half an eye, I'd say both eyes on the Champions League.
Now we've discussed everything about the first team. We're going to be jumping into some off-the-pitch activities. We're now going to be talking about a special training by our coach Stefano Pioli. A couple of weeks ago, he was in Varese with the Varese team. It was actually that is linked to AC Milan, also participating in the Paralympic and the experimental football division of the FIGC. We're going to be taking a look at the beautiful clip.
ragazzi, ciao.
Luca.
Ciao Luca, piacere. Come stai?
Grande.
Tutto bene?
Sei un grande tu.
Grazie, Stefano. Ciao. Omar, ciao. Ciao, piacere. Ciao. Ciao, piacere. Oh, come me. Andiamo. Niente ragazzi, guida palla, tutto col destro cominciamo. Via. Sei arrivato tardi, eh? Di solito che arriva tardi noi non lo facciamo giocare, però oggi ti puoi allenare. Andiamo, prendi un pallone, vai. Tutti e due i piedi, un destro e un sinistro. Tocco col destro, tocco col sinistro. Bravi, così, così. Sempre la palla sotto controllo, non è così importante essere veloci. Dosare bene la sensibilità, passaggio da sul cinesino e là proviamo a fermarlo. Bravo, ok, perfetto. La corsa lenta va bene, la palla un po' più veloce, bravi. Bravi, così, così, bene. Avete un buon ritmo, bravi. Pronti? Al fischio. Via, via, così, bravo, sì, così, perfetto, perfetto. Giro intorno lì, giro intorno, bravo, e via. Vai, vai, è veloce, è veloce, è veloce. Stava cercando di fare il furbo lui, vai. Vai, torna, torna, bravo. Bravo Luca, bravo, così, così, bene. Vai Gianni, vai, vai. Sì, controllo. E tiro, attento. Via, via, tu vieni in porta, parti là, parti. Sì. Bravo. Hai 10, Sì, bel gol. Bravi. Dopo un po' di gioco ci vuole un po' di tecnica. Bravi, ritmo giusto, precisi. Bene. Sensibilità, passaggio, palla veloce. Buono così. Buono. 2 portieri e giochiamo, via. Oh, io potrei anche giocare, ma è meglio di no. Sì, sì, bene. Che gol, che gol! Bravissimo Luca. Luca, un Eurogol questo. Sì, muoversi, muoversi. E la palla. Bravo portiere. Bravo Kevin. Perché manca poco. Bravo.
Grazie per tutto quello che avete fatto, un nostro orgoglio che l'abbiamo aspettato con tanta allegria. Pioli è un grande.
A surprise for them. They have been trained by our coach Stefano Pioli for an hour, getting advice and guidance.
It was a wonderful clip, and it showed what a good man Mr. Pioli is. He's a really down-to-earth, humble man, and those people that he trained, those youngsters, they really learned something. And the motivational style, Mr. Pioli was sort of telling them what to do, how to improve their technique. I felt motivated watching. I don't know about Adriano, but I want a coaching session with Mr. Pioli because it really gave me a boost watching it, and it just showed that, you know, the words from someone who is at the top level like Mr. Pioli, it's priceless. It might be an hour and a half a day of Mr. Pioli's time, but those players will remember it forever.
Absolutely, and some good talent in there as well. It was a very special clip, and good on Mr. Pioli. Not the first time he's done something like that, and really special to watch. So wish them very well, and more of it to come.
Now we're going to be jumping into the world of our under-19. We are coming from a defeat despite the challenge was actually dominated by AC Milan, the one against AS Roma. Sheridan.
Juicy. What can you say? The team deserved so much more. It was a really hard one to take because Mr. Abate's side played so well against AS Roma, and at one point went 2-1 up, and Then the star player El Hilali hit the crossbar with an incredible free kick, and it looked like Milan were going to get all 3 points against fourth place, where they jumped into third place as a result of the victory.
Right.
But it looked like Milan were going to get all the points away to AS Roma, which would have been an incredible result. But it just didn't happen. Roma had, I think it was 3 shots on target, 3 goals, and it was a shame. They deserve so much more, the youngsters.
Adriano.
It's an interesting period, Sheridan. Obviously, you cover them very closely, but they push one of Italy's best. We've seen some results of late be a bit more consistent in the domestic competition. They've pushed one of Italy's best here, but there is an eye on what's to come. Obviously, the Final Four in the UEFA Youth League. From what you've covered, how do they manage this? Because obviously these fixtures are still important. They need to get some points just to ensure their safety in the top flights in Italy, but obviously there's a bigger task ahead in a few days' time.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at this goal from Dariusz Stalmak, it's a really good goal from midfield. He scored a very important goal in the UEFA Youth League, and you want your midfield to contribute goals, and that just demonstrates that the quality is there. The quality is there. I think it's a mental thing that when you're a younger player, you're perhaps more excited about the European challenges, and the domestic challenges perhaps don't get all of your attention. That's not a slight or an insult to the other teams in the Italian Primavera, but it's just a case of the excitement, the flavour, the adventure of playing in Europe is more appealing, and perhaps sometimes in matches the team mentally, when they're playing at home in Italy, just need to focus a bit more. But we can forgive them that because they're youth players and they're in the youth system to learn about top-level football.
Also, we have to say that the second team on the table is our next opponent. We're talking about Torino, Sheridan.
Points are a must now. Milan aren't in a great position. We saw the table a few moments ago, and they're not in a great position. And
30 points.
The players all of the squad will be thinking about the European ties, but they have to concentrate on what's happening now. Milan down there with 30 points. It's not where they belong.
It is very tight in there, though. 3 points can make a big difference.
Absolutely,
Big
and they
jump,
have to
right?
get 3 points immediately. They really have to make it a priority. For 90 minutes, just forget Europe. You know, that's a mirage. That's in the future. They have to really get the full points against Toro.
Plus, Adriano, next Friday, the Youth League is back with the challenge against Hajduk.
This is thrilling. This is absolutely amazing. Obviously, Milan eliminating Atleti in the rounds before. I was in Madrid for that match, and how much that meant to Atletico fans who were just watching it there on TV. What Milan have been able to do in that competition must not be underrated, because it's been a phenomenal achievement by Mr. Abate's men. And as you touched on, Sheridan, I think it will come with maturity as these youngsters go through the ranks in terms of managing their energy, their focus on the tasks at hand. Of course, Torino to come, but then a massive opportunity, and a win there and through to a final would be a remarkable way to bring to an end this current campaign.
Thank you very much, Adriano Del Monte. We'll see you next week.
It was a pleasure. Thank you. Looking forward to it.
Sheridan Bird, thank you for being with me also today.
My pleasure, Juicy. Very nice. We had a good time.
Now we have discussed everything about AC Milan. We will be back next week to discuss some more about the red and black world.